her sister-in-law died. And I said, at a very young age, in her 50s. And I said, oh my gosh, what happened? And she goes, oh, we don't know. But she had end stage liver disease and died from it. And it came on rapidly. Her liver failed and she died. And I said, that's so shocking. Was she an alcoholic, or did she have hepatitis? And she said, no, but she was I go, did she overdo it on supplements? And I only know that because my dad had hepatitis and died of cirrhosis of the liver because of a blood transfusion. He got hepatitis, and it causes your liver, when it can't absorb a lot of things. If you eat a lot of supplements, it's the worst thing you can do if you have liver problems. And she said she was a supplement, I don't know, I'm going to call it dealer. That's,
yeah,
but
like
she,
a junkie.
And sold supplements as well. And
Wow.
so she was taking tons of supplements and actually damaged her liver to the point of failure.
Hey there, rebels on the retirement highway. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Yasmine, your co-pilot for fun flashbacks, retirement mischiefs, and the occasional Medicare sanity check.
We're best friends, lifelong storytellers, and just noisy enough to share what we've learned about life. Laughter and staying retired, rewired, and slightly unsupervised.
Your co-pilot for fun flashbacks and retirement mischief. Each week, we start off with a blast from the past and connect it to real life now and sprinkle in some Medicare truth, minus the boring parts.
Think Thelma and Louise with more giggles, less cliffs, and no cousin Larry explaining Plan G.
So buckle up and hit subscribe. Your Medicare Besties are here to keep your retirement stories rolling and your Medicare mistakes in the rearview mirror.
Let's get started.
Good morning, Cindy.
Hey, good
This
morning,
is Saturday
Yas.
morning.
How are you?
Good. I'm good.
We are in our comfy pajamas.
Yes, we are. Yes, the comfy pajamas, and it's Saturday morning, and we're here ready to start our weekend as Medicare Besties. We've already met for an hour talking about shop.
Exactly. How'd you sleep? Did you sleep well?
Well, actually, because I had so little sleep all week, I just was having trouble with all these changes and things going on. I'm working too much. My brain's not shutting off. I wake up in the middle of the night in a panic. So last night I actually slept pretty good. I did some things that you told me about when we were in Nashville last week. You mentioned to me, actually it was your husband that mentioned to me, that you have a whole bedroom ritual before going to bed.
Routine. Yes, I do.
He says that you basically get into mummy mode, and that for about 5-10 minutes that you move this way, you move this way. And he doesn't know what's happening because he's not really looking at you. And he's like, all the bed's moving up and down. And then when he turns around to see you, he goes, you basically look like you're in a coffin as a mummy like this with your eye mask on, and you're swaddled like a baby, and your hands are all cuddled in. So tell me about that, because I didn't do all of that, but I did do a little bit of mummifying last night, and it actually did help me go to sleep.
Yeah. So first of all, I love to have it super cold in the summertime when I sleep, not necessarily during the day. And I'm not a big super cold air conditioning person, but at night, I love it to be really cold. And then the only thing that is showing is, because I've got my mask on, is just here really. And I'm all bundled up, and I have a sleep mate, which is like a little box that I've got that has the green noise or pink noise or whatever you like. And I even downloaded an app on my phone so that when I'm traveling, I can have that too. And I actually been just using a scarf for my mask. It's so funny because I keep losing my masks, and then I'm like, these scarves I should try, and they're so they feel so comfortable
because they're silky. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not like binding as much on your.
It's
so
not.
What makes you feel that you have to have your eyes completely in darkness to sleep?
Because I like it. And I know you don't set an alarm, but I have to set an alarm because it does cover. It's the darkness that I think really helps me sleep. Because I know you said when you come here to visit, you sleep better because it's totally dark, right? That room that you stay in Allie's,
there's no windows.
Interior room. There's no windows. It's not like a dungeon, people. I promise.
It's like a dungeon, but it's a nice dungeon.
Because we added on, in addition to Allie's room. So she had a tunnel when she was little that she could get out, but there's no windows. And so I do think that helps. So, and it's helped me just be able to sleep longer if I need to, and the sun's already up. then I can sleep past whatever 6 a.m. or whatever it is. So,
That's
and then I
great. Yeah.
read before I go to bed. So before I do all of that, I make sure that I read, and I just read with it in black on the background. And then because I like to read on my Kindle, so I can turn the lights out. It's all black with then white lettering, which is low lighting. And sometimes I only do that for like 15 minutes, but I do have to read before, just to get my mind kind of off of whatever's going on, with
I,
work or family
it's
or whatever.
so smart to do that because all the research shows that, the more we're like this in bed and
Yeah.
scrolling, or looking,
Yeah.
our brains, we're just giving it more and more dopamine and it doesn't help us to slow down and sleep. Yeah, it's really smart. Everything I've read has said avoid any kind of blue screen before bed. And so the
Yeah.
Kindle is a great idea. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll listen to a podcast. And the only negative about that is I don't sleep well if I have my earbuds in my ear. So I was thinking
Yeah.
about maybe even putting a podcast on my Alexa so that I can just hear, because sometimes I'll just fall asleep with just that little bit of chatter. It's almost like that green noise or blue noise. Or I'll
Yeah.
use the Calm app and I'll listen to a bedtime story like a child.
That's cool.
They have these little meditative stories that they tell you. And it's not really that I'm even listening as much as it's causing me to slow down. But when I am with my phone in bed, trying to just relax, it's not relaxing and I'm not falling asleep. And I
Yeah.
think Tom sleeps terribly. He only gets about 5 hours of sleep, wakes up every night in the middle of the night when he has to go to the bathroom, can't get back to sleep for hours. And I think it makes him grumpy, frankly. I mean, I think part of his grouchiness at times is because he has
Yeah.
he's consistently not having enough sleep. And
Yeah.
so um
I would
I
be
would love to
grumpy if
have him
I
try
wasn't
a bedtime
sleeping.
ritual.
Oh, and then I also, so another thing that I do, I take melatonin too. So I take my allergy medicine because I have really bad allergies, and then I
Yeah, and
take
that makes you sleepy.
melatonin. Yeah, and then my allergy medicine helps with sleep, and so does the melatonin. And then I also take some supplements too. Even if I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I can get back to sleep. So
Yes.
because I don't know how much you wake up, but I wake up like probably 3 times in the middle of the night, and I
Oh, that's
can't.
a lot. Wow.
Yeah,
When you get
but
back
I
into
drink.
bed, do you go through your whole mummifying thing one more time?
Probably that's why I wear a scarf, because I can push it on my neck if I get up,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it's still on, then I can find it, because I
Interesting.
sometimes I was losing it, but I think it's because I drink so much water during the
Yeah.
day that it's really like I do have to go to the bathroom, and then I do drink tea at night too, which the tea for whatever reason doesn't keep me up, but I
Oh,
do
yeah.
think it causes me to get up in the middle of the night because I'm constantly drinking all day, whether
Well,
it's.
that's probably why you are an Energizer bunny because you're constantly refueling your body with the hydration. Because I was
Yeah.
just telling Tom as I got up, because I overslept and that's why I'm in my pajamas, is that I said, I think of myself as being, and everyone always will tell me I'm a pretty high energy person. I go, man, I always thought I was the Energizer bunny, but Cindy is the OG and she's the goat at Energizer bunny because you are always so productive all the time with everything, whether it's your lifestyle. I mean, you're so good at taking care of, you always have been, you always been good at exercise, good at taking your water, good at your eating habits. Like you said, you're a disciplined person. But I
Yeah.
think that hydration, I think it actually fuels you to be able to stay centered around your core values about how you want to live.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it
I
does with the drinking the water, and even the fasting. I feel like it helps your brain and it
it
makes you
does.
clearer. And not that I'm clear all the time, because I feel like the older we get, the more that we forget words and stuff like that. It just makes you feel more capable and more energized to do things. So
I
um
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that the other talking about supplements, the two that I've added into, or actually I've added in three to kind of help also just to, and I think it's maybe being menopausal also, or having a demanding job and trying to manage your home and what have you. But what I've done at night now is magnesium glycinate, and if you start researching it, that
Yeah.
one is it relaxes your muscles. It actually kind of helps to settle your mind a little bit. And then I started drinking some of that mushroom, they call them coffees, but they're not coffees, like mushroom,
Yeah. I had a
like
couple of
mud
those.
water or some of these others. And I have one that makes a little cocoa, and it's just has a lot of relaxation properties. And then
Mhm.
occasionally I'll also take an ashwagandha supplement, but I try to take that one very sparingly because there's a little bit of research that is to me a little bit. First, everything I read about ashwagandha was perfect. And then all of a sudden it says, wait, be careful. You don't want to over supplement. And
Yeah.
I'm more of in that mindset of I don't overdo on the supplements. Actually, on that subject, so this is kind of a side topic, was I have a client who her sister-in-law died last year. And this client of mine is like the epitome of good health. She watches what she eats, she exercises every day, she's in perfect weight, everything. Looks not 67, but like 50, 55 or something. And but her sister-in-law died, and I said, at a very young age, in her 50s. And I said, oh my gosh, what happened? And she goes, oh, we don't know. But she had end-stage liver disease and died from it. And it came on rapidly. Her liver failed and she died. And I said, that's so shocking. Was she an alcoholic, or did she have hepatitis? And she said, no. But she was I go, did she overdo it on supplements? And I only know that because my dad had hepatitis and died of cirrhosis of the liver because of a blood transfusion. He got hepatitis. And it causes your liver, when it can't absorb a lot of things, if you eat a lot of supplements, it's the worst thing you can do if you have liver problems. And she said she was a supplement, I don't know, I'm going to call it dealer.
Junkie.
That's,
Yeah.
but
Like a
she,
junkie.
and sold supplements as well. And so
Wow.
she was taking tons of supplements and actually damaged her liver to the point of failure.
Well, I didn't even
So
know that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
really
so
one of
good
those
to
things
know.
because when you think about it, like a lot of the supplements will go like, okay, I just had a UTI last week and I'm not doing well.
Do you
So
do
I bought I
the
did
cranberry
the cranberry
supplements?
tablets, and it made
Yeah.
me think of my client's sister-in-law, because I thought, they're immediately like, this is the same as one glass of cranberry juice. Fine, that's no big deal. But what if I
Yeah.
stupidly said, well, I need to take 8 cranberry juice things, and now maybe
Yeah.
I've done something that, I think is good for me, but it isn't. So,
Right.
but I love magnesium glycinate. There's a lot of great research that says we're
I've
not
been
getting enough
taking
magnesium.
that too. That's the supplement. I just couldn't remember the name that I
Yeah.
take every night now. And then there's some others that are like my girlfriend told me about. It's not cranberry, but it's supposed to help you sleep as well. And I'll have to put a tag, or we'll have to put a link down below. Maybe we
Yeah.
can do that for some of the products that we
That's
really like that are
yeah.
super helpful.
Yeah,
But
and then I think we can also then add some documented research as well. So, because I think you and I are not that willy-nilly person that says, "Oh, someone says it's good for sleeping, let's ingest it." You and I are pretty
yeah,
diligent about wanting to do that research. So,
yeah.
yeah,
And of
that's a
course,
great idea.
check with your doctor. Yeah. And make sure that they're not interfering with any of medications or anything like that. And that you take them, of course, as needed, or you don't overdo it. We don't want anybody
Exactly.
damaging their liver,
No.
definitely.
But I actually even love a sleepy time tea or chamomile tea at night too. That's just like, I think there's
Yeah.
something about a warm beverage. Like you said, sometimes it does make you wake up because you have a liquid right before bed. But you're right. I think the key there is probably whatever it is, you start to create kind of a ritual around getting ready for sleep, just like we did when we had toddlers.
Yeah.
You kind of say, okay, take your warm bath. Let's have story time. It's like, you're
Does
not
it
sitting
feel
there
like
going
we're
like, here.
turning into toddlers, like kind of peeing our pants?
Exactly, exactly. I know. I told that to last week, like I said, I had a UTI, and I was telling Tom, I was like, oh my God, I feel like a toddler that's like, oops, I forgot to go to the bathroom, running really hard to get there.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
I hope we don't have a ton of men listeners, and
I
they're
know.
like, oh my gosh. Or hopefully most of them know when we sneeze, it just a little comes out and
Yeah.
hot cough. Yeah.
Not
It's a
fun,
thing.
not fun.
No,
Yeah, that's
no.
exactly it. And with the UTI, that urge to go is just incredibly
Yeah.
painful. I hadn't had one in a long time. Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. We used to get
Probably,
them back in the day a ton when we were
yeah,
having all kinds of
sex all the
sex.
time.
Now those are kind of few and far between, just
Yeah.
like our sex lives.
Oh, it's just so funny because I was just like, "Oh my god," something I hadn't been thinking about as much, so but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I figure good to take care of our bodies in so many ways, and it's good to not be all about work sometimes. I've told myself, I need to just like you said, your daughter's coming to town. You guys are going to see Travis Tritt next weekend.
I'm
That's gonna be
super
fun.
excited. Well, Jim and I are going to see Travis Tritt. Allie, I said, at first I said, oh, I'll buy your ticket for you. Just see if you can get one. And then we looked at the prices and I was like, holy cow. It was, for me, it was a lot. It was like $180, which probably isn't a ton. And then I was like, well, the only thing is I don't know if you'll be able to get next to us. And she's like, yeah, I only know one of the songs. If she
Yeah.
really, really wanted to go, I would have paid for her. But she was like, is JJ home? I'll probably just hang out with JJ or Nana Connie. And I was like, yeah. So she's like, yeah, I think I'm just going to pass on that one. But so Jim and I are going to have our little date night and then
Nice.
she'll be in town, but she's coming in on Friday. So she'll be here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then she is going back, I think Sunday, and she'll have Monday off because she's got some time off. So she's excited about
Fantastic.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's wonderful. Well, how
Yeah.
exciting.
It is. Yeah. And she's super happy because she's got a steady boyfriend now. And that seems to be going really well. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm really happy for her. Yeah, we
is
talked
she just
for
loving not being in the frenetic fly all over the world all the time as a pilot?
Yeah, but what they're doing now is they're having to fly sometimes on weekends and stuff. So
Oh,
she's not
oh,
loving that aspect of it. She's like, it feels I'm more, and that has just changed recently. So they're going to where they have to fly on weekends and stuff. So when she does get time off, that's a good thing. So she's a little stressed with her job. And I'm like, your job's gonna have some highs and have some lows. That's how everybody's job is, right? And I said, but if you can get your relationship where you're in a good place, I think that kind of makes your job not as bad when it's at a low point, right? And you're so busy and kind of stressed out. At least you know that you've got a comfort to fall on. And I think that's what you and
oh, I
I
agree.
have, is just somebody who's got our back. And Jim and Tom they're both, even though Jim's not licensed, he's willing to help me with my spreadsheets or do whatever he can to help me stay organized and stay on top of everything in annual
Absolutely. Yeah. And
enrollment.
Tom, actually, as you know, he's gotten licensed. So he was doing
Yeah.
AHIP last night. And I'm just going to have him be like that person that's very obvious kind of changes or what have you in Utah
Yeah.
only. And he's excited about it. But yeah, it is. It's nice to have that support system. I actually was talking to a client of mine who had just spent some time in India. He was a professor at the U and he's back now. And he's kind of doing a little bit of back and forth, watching over his mom in India and then coming here. And we actually met for some chai tea at this little place and caught up yesterday. And he's single. So I said to him, well, you spent quite a bit of time in India. Have you been dating? What have
Yeah.
you? And he was saying, it's funny at my age, 67, I really am looking for what would be a companion. It's like this idea of this big love or whatever is not really important, but it would sure be nice to have a companion. And he said, it's just a little bit hard because if I were to get married, it's really frowned upon when an older man gets married in India, which I didn't know, that they're like kind of like looking at you're this lecherous person. Or he said, I went on dates and I felt I was being interviewed to kind of check mark, has house in the US, pension, this and that and the other. And he goes, I
Yeah.
don't want to be a money ticket for somebody. And I said, I get it. I told him, I said, he was asking about, he's taking care of his mom and he knows I took care of my mom when she got sick. And he says, well, your husband isn't your father-in-law living with you? Yeah. I said, he is. I said, he goes, well, is he Mexican also? Because it's very much in our culture that's just an assumed responsibility. You're going to take care of your parents if they
Right.
need it. And I said, no, he's not. He goes, it's very interesting because in a lot of American culture, it's not always assumed that that's a responsibility you have. And I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
it's what bound us, though. I think that if you have the same family values,
Mm.
it would never occur to either of us to ever criticize or be against or push back on assuming responsibility for a family member. And believe it or not, you and Jim have been together a long time. So that's naturally a part of you guys have merged your family, your values.
Right.
But when you're in your 50s and you're starting a new relationship like I did, it is
Mhm.
interesting. You kind of have these non-negotiables. And for me, one of those was family is everything. And in this guy's case, he was like, anybody who's going to have a problem with me taking care of my mother, that's not somebody that I can have a relationship with. And I said, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
So
It opens up all new aspects when you're trying to find somebody later in life. And I think
I
that
know.
you're like less it's like you're kind of set in your ways too by that point. And so it would be harder to find somebody, you know?
It would, and I think it's about being able to, though, understand and balance what is important to you with what's
Yeah.
important to somebody else as well.
Yeah.
And that I think makes a huge difference
And to
because
put up with all your sleep ways,
and
right?
it
Like
produces, yeah,
all my
and to have
mumminess and
tolerance and you're right. You're right, though. There is grace, instead of looking at, I think in my younger years, I probably looked at people with a more critical eye. And I think if I was the person that I am today, then I probably would have been a better partner, frankly. And
yeah, well,
I think it's looking at your own abilities to show up in good ways. We have these mutual friends, and I hope she never listens to this podcast, but she has a non-negotiable that, and they've got together later in life. She's in her 50s and he's in his 60s, and they've been together about 15 years or something. But he has kids from a previous marriage, and she refuses to have anything to do with his children or grandchildren.
mm,
So to the point,
yeah,
because
that
I
would be
don't,
hard.
I don't like children. I don't want to be around children, and that's just I get resentful when they come visit. And I literally made me, I guess, also with the relationship, it made me also realize this is not a person I really need to be close to because I can't understand that. We're too far away in our value system for me to be able to, I can appreciate that's where you're coming from and you're laying down your boundary. I get that.
Mhm.
But I think in a relationship, sometimes you show up even if you don't want to show up. Sometimes you want to be, you're there because it's an expectation in your family. It's because you love that person. So I thought about it. It's okay. There's things we do. We don't have to love what we do. I mean, I'm sure there's things you do with Jim, and we do them because it matters to our partners.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I was like, to me, I was like, gosh, I said that would be a no-go to me. If someone said, "Sorry, I don't like kids," how are you going to understand my decision making around an autistic adult child? You'll never understand it.
Yeah.
And so, and the challenges that I have around that. So, kudos to you and Jim. I think you guys are so aligned as a family. I really see you as such an incredible role model couple that you
Thank
really
you.
like. Your husband travels all the time. You have different ways of looking at it. You're like, well, Jim's gone, so I'm just doing my thing and I got this going and that going and it's great. And I get excited when he's home on the weekends and what have you, and you enjoy each other.
Gotta
Another
roll with the
person could take
changes.
that same thing and be like, well, you aren't here and I had to take care of that issue that happened at the house. And you're not here when this is happening. And you're not that person. You have this cup half full approach to that situation.
I try to always look at life like that, right?
Me
Because I
too.
mean, we've lived in some places where people are like, you lived in Iowa, and I loved Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some downsides. It's cold and everything, but I had some amazing friends there, and I still talk to them. And we've been here since 2008. I mean, it's been a long time. And I always try to look at the positive side. The
I
glass
do
is
too.
half full. I
I
just
figure
think that's
wherever
so
you
important.
are, make the best of it. Whatever
Yeah.
situation you're in, look at it in the bright side. Like Tom has two adult children and I only had one. And I always say, how fortunate was I that I just adore his children. And they all have grandchildren now. And I may have never been my own grandmother, and I'm just to hear someone call me nanny is a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think there is that cup half full, even when times get tough, you can kind of just look at it. I said to Tom last year, we did this little like a retreat, or earlier this year, we did a little date retreat weekend. We started it with, we each wrote down a list of what was positive about last year and what was not positive about last year. And then we shared our lists. And so each of us had this list of, here's what I loved about what happened last year. And his dad had cancer last year, and it was a big part of our life last year. But what was interesting, on both of our lists, we put on the positive that we were there to show up for Marvin and could be there to help him. And on the negative, we put Marvin had cancer and it was really hard. But it was interesting that both of us saw that perspective of
As a
it wasn't
positive and a
easy.
negative.
And
Yeah.
and how grateful are we that we could be there for someone we love?
Yeah. That's
And
amazing.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so if you've never done that exercise, I didn't come up with the idea myself, but we did a marriage retreat weekend, just the two of us going to the mountains, and we hiked, and in between we did these little sessions. And I saw this woman on Instagram that said she did that with her husband. She's a marital therapist, and so she shared this little kit, and I bought it, and it did. It started off with, and I thought, what a great way to start off every year as a marriage, to say,
I love
what was great about 2025? What could have been better about 2025? And how do we take those key learnings into 26? And what would we do differently? How could we show up differently for each other?
I'm going to write that down because I want to we could already schedule just like a little Airbnb in the mountains, right? And just a
exactly.
couple hours away, and
Yeah,
Jim, schedule that for the end because after annual enrollment, and we could just have a little getaway and do that.
And a time to reflect,
Yeah.
what she says is arrive on Friday night, have a romantic dinner, take some time on Saturday morning, go do something fun, come back, and before dinner, do another session, have a wonderful romantic dinner. So you wrap up and you now have
you're always
a plan.
learning, and
Yeah.
I think that's important in life. And maybe next time we'll talk about some podcasts that we learned from, right? I think that
I
would be a
love that
good
idea.
topic too.
Yeah.
And but I think, when you're constantly learning and striving to be better and show up better for your partner, and try to be a better person in general for your clients or for whatever is your thing, for our list, I think that makes us happier, right? Just
Totally
knowing
agree.
that we're making a difference and that we're striving to be better. And I'm playing pickleball right now, and I suck. Everybody like that plays me. We were doing these round robins the other night. Jim and I were, and every time whoever I would get on a team with, we would lose, regardless of how good the other person was. And it was so embarrassing. But I'm like, I know that in 6 months, if I keep at it, and I love it, by the way, my ankles,
it's so
not
fun.
so much. I feel like I've got plantar fasciitis, but I ordered some inserts for my shoe thanks to my chiropractor, who I love, Dr. A. And he's just got such great advice and everything. And I think as we age, for me, at least, I've always gone to a chiropractor, so I love that. But so I ordered some inserts for my shoes, so I'm hoping that will help. But I just think in 6 months, I'll be a totally different player. I may not still be good, but I know I'll be better and decent enough that I won't be embarrassed, and I'll probably win some and lose some. But yeah, I just love doing new things, and I get excited about that.
But that's back to you being cup half full person. You're having fun. You're meeting people. It's a blast. And what a great date night to do something like that with Jim.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part. Sometimes I think people can get into this mode. Actually, I think Tom does this a little bit, which is if he's not good at something, he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's good at a lot of things.
Right.
He'll be like, I don't like board games. Well, we don't ever play them because he doesn't really like them. But I think if he was playing them, then he'd understand it more and be like, oh, that was kind of fun. We had a good time.
Yeah.
But same with pickleball. I've always been that person that I suck at things and I can still love it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm terrible.
I don't care either, because I felt like they were thinking you didn't have a good time because you weren't doing good. And I was like, no, I had a great time. I don't care if I suck. I feel kind of a little bit bad for them because I'm sure they want to play a better player. And I mean, I don't suck that bad that I can't hit it back. I'm just not good at slamming it. Like they have, they slam it in the kitchen basically. And I'm not good at that, but I am good at returning it. Well, sometimes.
Well, it just takes time. Like I said, I love pickleball. We have pickleball rackets. And I actually, now that Tom's retired and things are settling down after AP, I was thinking that would be also fun to do as a winter activity when we have a lot of indoor courts that have opened up too. And that's nice.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of wind in the summertime too. So it's just not as conducive to playing outside here as you would think.
And here's hot in the summer. So we joined an actual club just to see if we liked it or not. And yes, and they were even saying that you could pause it if you want to during my annual enrollment. But then I thought, gosh, it might be kind of nice just to have that stress reliever, right?
I agree. I think that's what I would like to do this annual enrollment. Last annual enrollment, I think you and I probably worked 12, 15 hours a day and we were exhausted.
Yeah,
I mean, just deadbeat. But I did think about it. I know other people that are very successful always prioritize that exercise, regardless of what's happening in their life. And I think it's about putting that oxygen mask on ourselves, and I think there were days where I was at night going, I'm feeling so foggy because I'm just so deadbeat exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anybody any favors by doing that.
And because you're making mistakes. And so I think that regardless of what people's lives are like, it does put that oxytocin in you and makes you happier. And so exercise is super important. Or it doesn't have to be pickleball. It can be whatever works for them. But I thought if I go at 8 o'clock at night, maybe just for an hour, instead of veg out on TV, which last year my eyes were killing me because I think it's like I went from being on the computer all day looking at the screen to vegging out on the couch and watching a show because I was so tired. And so then you're still watching a screen. So I think that's a big issue that people is just too much screen time. And I know I'm guilty of that. So I'm trying to get away from that this year and try to be a little bit healthier.
That's a good idea. It's like the 10, 15 minutes that I would be on a screen. I could go down to my little gym downstairs and lift a few weights for 10, 15 minutes, like today, arms. And I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to probably every year during AAP, I've gone on a little diet and not just because if I don't, we're in too many situations where you're so you can easily
something quick.
Just grabbing some. There's not enough time for things. So just saying, okay, I'm going to one of my meals is going to be like a smoothie, for example, because it's quick and it's going to have nutrition. It's going to have protein. So putting some parameters around that has helped me a lot. Because I think the first 2 years I gained 5 pounds just from running around town and grabbing something quick and just. I feel terrible
on your table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not good. It just, it's amazing. You really are what you eat in so many ways.
Yeah.
But,
awesome.
this has been
so
fun.
Good to see you.
You too, my dear.
I know.
Oh, it's great to spend time with my Medicare bestie.
Yeah. Awesome. So you have a great rest of your weekend and we will see you next week.
If you're wondering if this could happen to me, the answer is yes. If you do not know what gaps to look for.
Join us for our free Medicare webinar, Buckle Up Buttercup, 5 Medicare Secrets for a Smooth Ride Through Retirement. We'll show you how to dodge costly surprises and stay confidently covered.
Seats fill fast. Click below to save your seat and bring your questions. We're ready when you are.